So part of what I'm doing with the personal brand and communication strategy, putting myself out there, is speaking to my audience. And in order to know who I'm talking to, I kind of have to know who I am. That is, it's so simple and so difficult. And it's because so much of who I am lives in a blind spot that I don't want to look at. I don't know if anyone else experiences this. Suffers from self-loathing. And my therapist just put me on to this woman, Byron Katie, who had a spiritual awakening and teaches a type of elevated mindfulness called the work, where it's not just like watching your thoughts as they pass by and not identifying with your thoughts or being too attached to your schemas of the world, but it's actually inquiry. So asking questions to the thoughts that cause you suffering. And she says it's that simple. It's like, does the thought hurt you? If it hurts you, question the thought. Just fascinating that life could be that simple. That you could just walk through your day, and as soon as you come up against something that hurts, question it. Because your suffering is only because you're believing thoughts that aren't true. My suffering is only because I'm believing thoughts that aren't true. False thoughts, lies, tricks. I don't know why we would want to hold on to something that was causing us suffering. I know that, okay, so self-knowledge, right? My nodes in astrology, my north node, my south node, your node, as far as I'm aware, your south node is like where you came from, some past life karma stuff. And then your north node is what you're here for. So, and I'm sure that you've heard and it resonates with you to some degree that the thing that you're called to do is going to be very challenging, or potentially could be challenging for you, because it's by overcoming your weaknesses in that area that you can gain the wisdom to teach others. And so for me, it's like Aries and Libra, first house, seventh house. So I came from like really knowing what I want and my boundaries, and you could call it selfishness if you want. It that has a negative connotation. And then the seventh house is relationships, how I'm relating to others, not just like lovers, but friends, family, stuff like that. I'm here to learn from my relationships, from the way that I relate to others. And so some amount of my self-knowledge is, I have to leverage it in order to relate to other people. There's something here about the macro and the microcosm, how everything that's happening out in the world is a reflection of what's happening in our heart, in our mind, in our personal psyche. With the political climate, it's really easy to get worked up and concerned, hyper concerned even, about other people's suffering and about the mavericks and leaders of industry who we believe are living out of proportion, out of balance, in a way that's causing more harm to other people. And if you're caught up in that, it's, how can I put it? I have a friend recently who looked at how things are and was quite depressed and even angry and resentful that, let's say, her money, like taxes, right? We pay taxes. The taxes get allocated. And there's so much fraud going on at the higher up government level that the money that we earn pays for like massive organized crime. I don't know how else to put it. And and she was quite concerned about like really gross stuff. Sex trafficking. And I said, there's not much of a difference between your money and your attention, is there? Like we say, we have to pay attention. So you're concerned about giving your tax dollars to that eventually get used and leveraged to cause harm, but you are sustaining and aiding those folks' plans and schemes by thinking about it all the time, by worrying about it, by imagining it, because you're holding the visual in your head. And that is, I tend to think that an image that you can hold in your head can be impressed into the mind that is at the source of all reality, and that will take form. So if you're dedicating your attention to negativity or even evil, that's not any different from paying taxes and that money going to the aid that evil to causes harm to other people. So, and to take it one step further, that mass secrecy and the need for control and the need for blackmail that I believe is kind of behind some of the motivations for massive cruelty like that, organized cruelty, organized crime that is used to keep people under the metaphorical thumb of the man. That need for control is not all that unsimilar to the need to control other people in our personal relationships. Most of my suffering in my marriage on my end comes from me wanting to control how my husband feels or behaves or thinks. So really, if I want to get rid of the massive organized cruelty at the top levels of society, that work starts by weeding out the need for control in my heart and in my personal relationships. Because there's not much of a difference between where our money goes and where our attention goes. Those are my thoughts today over coffee.